So I want to kind of start with the late game run. So the Knicks go up by 6 on that Quentin Grimes 3 in the left corner where he gets fouled by Jaylen Brown. It's about 4 minutes left. And on the very next possession, the Celtics run a horn set. Derek White comes off the left side, and Emmanuel quickly gets called for an absolutely bogus blocking foul, one I completely don't agree with. Excuse me. Jumps completely vertical, takes a contact in the chest, doesn't bring his arms down, he's barely moving side to side, which again, there's a reason why they give offensive foul calls when a defender's sliding, but the contact goes through the chest. Like, you are, as a defender, allowed to move your feet. You don't have to be completely set in order to play defense. You can be a defender in motion. I didn't think it was a good call. But anyway, so he goes to the line, he makes both free throws. Down the floor next time, Jalen Brunson hits a nice floater over Kristaps Porzingis in pick and roll. Then the Celtics go back to the post on Jayson Tatum, or with Jayson Tatum on the right block. And this is kind of an example of the type of shot creation I'd really like to see Jayson Tatum do a lot more in the future. So he gets Jalen Brunson on a switch, posts him up on the right block. Jrue Holiday makes the post entry and kind of runs through, right? But he identifies that the double team is coming, and he just kind of repositions himself directly under the rim. Tatum hits him with a bounce pass. Jrue Holiday makes a layup. Really smart cut from Jrue Holiday, and I love the idea of Jayson Tatum working more out of the post. He did a lot of work out of the post in this particular game. It's something I'd like to see him do a lot more over the course of this season. So then we go down to the other end of the floor. It's a 4-point game. And this is just another unbelievable play from Jrue Holiday. So Jalen Brunson's dribbling the ball at the top of the key. Okay, Jrue Holiday is guarding Julius Randle in the right corner. Jrue Holiday kind of ignores Julius and kind of goes up into somewhat of a soft double. It's not really a double because he's still 15 feet away from Brunson, but he comes out all the way almost to the above the break line, right? And so Jalen Brunson makes the right read. He throws the over the top pass to Julius Randle. Jrue Holiday throws a hard closeout to chase Julius Randle off the line. Julius Randle rips to the right, and then Jrue Holiday literally recovers and beats him to the right and swipes the ball away from Julius Randle. Just an unbelievable defensive play. Then absolute chaos happens, right? Because after Jrue Holiday gets the steal, Isaiah Hartenstein pokes the ball away from behind from Jrue. In the chaos, Quentin Grimes gets a wide open 3 on the left wing and misses it. On the play, Isaiah Hartenstein gets another offensive rebound and taps the ball to Julius Randle under the basket, just ready for a putback layup. But Julius Randle's not paying attention until it's too late, fumbles it away. They go down to the other end. In the transition cross match, Quentin Grimes gets Kristaps Porzingis, and he pulls Kristaps to the ground. He gets fouled, goes to the line. Now it's only a 2-point game. So then we go down the floor. Really solid Celtics defensive possession. Lots of switching. They forced RJ Barrett into a step back 3. He misses it, and Isaiah Hartenstein fouls. This was the elbow play from Porzingis. Porzingis goes to the free throw line, makes 2 free throws, and ties the game. So then we get to a very important sequence. We run another Brunson-Porzingis pick and roll. And if you guys remember earlier in the sequence, like I said, Jalen Brunson came off of that pick and roll and made the floater over Kristaps Porzingis in a drop coverage. So on this play, the Celtics opt for a switch instead. And this is the big question with Porzingis. We know he can be a more than adequate rim protector in drop coverage, but how is he on the perimeter? Can he contain on the perimeter? And so he gets a switch onto Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson hits him with a freaking nasty right to left crossover and actually beats him off the dribble. And again, you want to be okay, Porzingis technically getting beat off the dribble, but that move would have busted most of the bigs in the league. Wouldn't be surprised if he even beat an Anthony Davis off the dribble with that move. It was a really nasty move, but Porzingis did his job. After he gets beat, he just kind of pursues from behind and tries to offer a contest. Jayson Tatum kind of slides over like he's going to help, but you can tell on the move, Jalen Brunson had exerted so much energy on that crossover move, he kind of had to stop short on the layup. He takes a left-handed layup off the glass and he leaves it long and misses it. So and again, if you look at the play, Porzingis is offering a little bit of back pressure from behind. I think that's good switch defense. Like if you watch it, Tatum technically is stepping over in to help, but I don't think he really was in position to make a play. I think Jalen Brunson was getting in his rearview mirror a little bit and seeing Porzingis coming and changed his footwork a little bit, worried he was going to get pursued at the glass and stopped short to try to shoot early. So really nice switch defense from Porzingis to get the stop. Then we get the Jayson Tatum Porzingis pick and pop. Now, pick and pops are like one of the hardest plays to guard in the NBA. And we're going to get to that in a minute because I want to dive a little bit more into Porzingis' overall impact on the offensive end. But they run a pick and pop. Porzingis pops to the right wing, 25 feet from the basket. Tatum hits him in the shooting pocket, and he knocks down literally a semi-contested 25-foot three on the move. It was just an unbelievable shot. Effectively ended up being the game winner. It puts the Celtics up 3. They go down the floor. The Knicks set up like they're going to run one of their horn sets, but Porzingis is on Barrett and is kind of sagging too far into the paint. Brunson makes the kick to the corner, and Barrett just misses an open 3. Make or miss league. Porzingis made his, Barrett missed his. So the Celtics are up 3. Porzingis misses a 3 on a kick out pass. Jrue Holiday grabs an offensive rebound. And then Jayson Tatum turns the ball over. It's kind of a weird sequence where I think Jrue Holiday was being guarded by Julius Randle, and he clears out. But when he clears out, Tatum doesn't see that Randle is actually staying up to double. And then Tatum inexplicably just like drives into Randle and then identifies that Randle's in his way, so he stops. And then that allows RJ Barrett to poke the ball away from behind. Again, Tatum played a great game. We're going to talk about it more in a minute. But like that, it's always a little discouraging because the late game turnovers were an issue for him in the postseason last year as well. But on the foul, Julius Randle, on the turnover, Julius Randle gets the ball and they smartly foul him in the backcourt because it would have been a run-out dunk for RJ Barrett. Randle goes to the line and misses another free throw. So the Celtics are still up by 2. And then on the next possession, Porzingis catches the ball on the right. Tatum's coming off a pick and roll, throws the ball to Porzingis, and Hartenstein has to close out hard. Porzingis, as Tatum was going downhill, you could see Hartenstein kind of step over to the left block to kind of offer a little bit of token help, but he closes out. But because Porzingis is such a good shooter, it's a hard closeout. Because it's a hard closeout, he kind of comes up into his airspace. So when Porzingis did that rip-through move kind of up the short corner, he ended up tripping on Hartenstein's leg, and it's a clear foul. You can see Hartenstein going like, I knew it. I fouled him. But it was a foul. But it's a byproduct of Porzingis' shooting. If he hadn't just made that crazy pick and pop 3 on the right wing, it's a shorter closeout. And then it probably ends up back in Tatum's hands and you have a better chance to get a stop, right? So like Porzingis just made a ton of huge plays down the stretch of this game. But it wasn't just down the stretch. He was awesome on both ends all night. And this is where I want to dive into the pick and pop concept because it's wide open almost every single time. There's a very specific reason why pick and pop coverages or pick and pop offensive sequences are incredibly difficult to guard. And it all has to do with traditional pick and roll coverage, right? So if I have a guy who sets a really solid screen, a big man who can set a solid screen, it's going to generate separation between my ball handler and the on-ball defender, right? So on-ball defender's here, ball handler's here. If we set a solid screen, he's going to get downhill and there's going to be separation. If he gets downhill and gets separation, you have to guard him with the screener's man, right? The screen defender has to step up in some way, shape, or form, either waiting at the basket in a deep drop or all the way up to a high drop, right? And everything in between. That screen defender has to be involved. Now, in traditional NBA pick and roll with a non-shooting threat, that screener is rolling hard to the rim. And so a really good athletic rim protecting center has a fighting chance to look to his right and see the ball handler coming downhill, and to look to his left and see the roller coming downhill and kind of split the difference and make a play. Maybe try to bait that lob pass so that he can get back to the lob, or maybe pretend like he's staying with the roll man so that he can contest a shot at the rim. He's got a fighting chance there. But what if instead of rolling hard, he pops to the three-point line? Now you basically have 2 options. You can either rotate out of the weak side, which is going to leave another guy wide open, right? So let's say Porzingis pops to the top of the key and you just have, Josh Hart or whoever it is on the other side, leave a shooter to go help Porzingis at the top of the key, which leaves a guard shooter wide open, right? Or you can switch the action. Because what you can't do is have the screen defender stay home with Porzingis. Because if he sets a hard screen and pops, and your screen defender follows Porzingis to the three-point line, Jayson Tatum's going downhill for dunks and layups all game long. Your only options are to either switch the action, which would put a small defender on Porzingis and open up a post attack, or put a big, slow defender on Tatum, opening up a perimeter attack, or you can rotate from the weak side, which is going to leave a shooter wide open. The pick and pop is infinitely harder to guard than a traditional roll man type of sequence. And what's crazy is Kristaps can roll as well. He did a lot of it in preseason and was successful with it. But that pick and pop is specifically extremely hard to guard. And you'll notice a lot of the best offensive centers in the league kind of operate like that. That's what Jokic does on most of these possessions. He's picking and popping to the top of the key. He's pump faking, trying to get Anthony Davis to over pursue so he can beat him off the dribble or knocking down those threes, right? Like that, it is the really high level offensive centers in the league that can operate out there and legitimately be a threat. They make your offense so much harder to guard. But it can't just be a Mo Bamba, I occasionally hit an above the break three, right? It can't just be an Anthony Davis, like I occasionally make a play there. You have to be deadly there in order for that sequence to be as difficult to guard as it can be. And Porzingis made 5 damn threes in this game. And the game winner was a pick and pop three. But then we had the improvements on the defensive end of the floor, right? His rim protection was a huge factor in this game. He had 4 blocks, changed a lot of shots, especially down the stretch of the second half. And then he got his biggest stop of the game on a switch with Jalen Brunson and got beat on the possession, but recovered to challenge the shot and force Jalen Brunson to miss a tough layup. He is what makes this team so hard to beat now. 30 points, 8 rebounds, 4 blocks, effectively the game winner. Hard to do much better than Porzingis did in his first game in a Celtics jersey. Jrue Holiday made a bunch of huge winning plays in this game. We broke down the huge steal on Julius Randle where he kind of half doubled and then recovered to the baseline and then beat Randle to his right hand and then swiped the ball away. He had 3 blocks in this game, by the way. He had that big offensive rebound late. We talked about the cut that he had on the Jayson Tatum post up with the double team. He's just a winner. And he's constantly going to make massive winning plays because he's constantly made massive winning plays in his career. Like I've said before to Celtics fans, I view him as just a better version of Marcus Smart. And he's going to bring a lot of that to the table just with more consistency. And then lastly, I want to hit Jayson Tatum. Actually, not lastly. I have 2 other Celtics topics before we get to the Knicks. Jayson Tatum looks huge. I think he said in the preseason pressers that he added like 13 pounds of muscle again in this offseason. But you can literally see it. And strength is like incredibly valuable on the basketball court. I have a mailbag question about this later that I want to get to. But being strong, physically strong on the basketball court helps you in a bunch of very specific ways. It helps you fight for position. So when you're trying to get to a spot closer to the basket without the basketball, right? Setting your man up for screens. Let's say you need to walk your man down to the block so you can come off of a wide pin down. Let's say that you're ducking in a mismatch on a switch or whatever it is. You need strength to fight for position. Dealing with contact, when dudes are grabbing on your arms and fouling you, the ability to fight through that contact is related to strength. Getting lift on shots and drives. Again, like strength goes well beyond upper body strength. It's lower body strength as well. The ability after hitting a dramatic dribble combination and absorbing contact to then elevate into a shot that you can make or elevate into a layup or a dunk at the rim with a high probability of finishing. That requires leg strength. And then last but not least, overall physical confidence. This is something that I had I wish I could remember who it was so I can credit this person. But one of my coaches in college used to say, like, lift weights, it'll just make you feel more confident. And it's so true. Because like when I'm actually in a good groove, like when I haven't gone on vacation forever and I'm in a good groove or for like months at a time, I've been lifting 5 days a week. When I go to the basketball court, you just feel good about yourself. You feel strong. You feel big. You feel confident. And like confidence is just such an underrated part of the game of the basketball in general. When you're walking on the court and you feel, looking to the guy next to you, like, I am bigger and stronger than this guy, and he cannot physically hold me. When you're thinking that, it pumps you up with the confidence you need to be confident in every other area of the game, with your decision-making, with your shot-making, so on and so forth, even defensively. Like lifting, that strength is such an important part of NBA basketball, and I think you're starting to see those that specifically pay dividends for Jayson Tatum now at this phase in his career. Had really good variety on his attacks today. He was attacking out of the high post. He was attacking out of the low post. Even with a live dribble, he was looking to be aggressive in the mid-range when he had a chance. Even in his perimeter attacks, he just seemed kind of more methodical. Instead of like the classic Jayson Tatum, let me take a three or just slash into the rim and throw up some bullshit layup, he was more methodical on his drives to the rim. There was a play against Quentin Grimes in the a live dribble attack in the first half where he kind of caught the ball on the left wing and took like a dribble from the wing down to like 20 feet and then like took one more and it was almost like a 3-point line post up where he just kind of backed Grimes down with two dribbles down to like 8 feet and then kind of just turned strong and shot like a little right-handed floater off the glass and he made it. There was a dunk that he had in the second quarter where like it was a slot drive on a kick out pass, a spot up opportunity on the right wing where Grimes was closing out on his left hand and he ripped through to the right. As soon as he ripped through to the right, instead of just driving into Julius Randle and smoking a layup, he saw Randle in front of him. He put Quentin Grimes in jail, kind of pinned him on his backside, waited a second, hit Randle with the crossover. Then when he realized he toasted Randle in the crossover, instead of throwing up some wild left-handed layup, he slowed himself down and pivoted into a right-left takeoff and threw down an easy two-handed dunk, which again, a leg strength to be able to stop and start and to elevate in traffic, but also just being more patient on his drives. I thought Jayson Tatum looked fantastic in this game. My only gripe would be that late game turnover like we talked about earlier. Got a little uninvolved in the offense, but the Knicks were throwing the kitchen sink at him in that second half, and he made several key reads, that post-up double team to Jrue Holiday, the pick and pop to Kristaps Porzingis. I thought it was an incredible performance from Jayson Tatum. You know, I was talking with the Jenkins and Jones guys earlier today about whether or not Jayson Tatum can get MVP. And the thought process was like, yeah, if the Celtics win like 65 games and Jayson Tatum averages like 32, 10, and 7. Why? Because the Celtics have the most talented roster in the league by far, and he's going to need to be beyond fantastic in order to get the award. But I think you saw tonight that like that's certainly on the table. If he's going to score this efficiently, 32 points a game is on the table. And this team is talented enough to win that many games. Jaylen Brown, 11 points on 11 shots. This is that concept of diminishing returns that I've talked about a lot. And it's one of the things where I talked about this with the Bradley Beal concept, like the difference between Bradley Beal and a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope on the Wizards versus the difference between a Bradley Beal and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope on the Suns and the specific things that a team needs from you, right? Well, this team has too much ball handling. They have too many guys who can dribble, too many guys who could shoot, too many guys who can create their own shot. And you saw tonight that Derek White and Jaylen Brown ended up being kind of the guys who got squeezed in terms of their overall offensive usage. And like this is the kind of thing that's going to happen. And again, it's not a shot at Jaylen Brown. It's just really hard to play basketball in that type of situation when you don't know where your touches are coming from. And then when suddenly they do start drawing stuff up for you and it's like, hey, Jaylen, we need you to be aggressive 3 or 4 possessions in a row after you just basically spotted up and did nothing for a quarter, right? So like it's just difficult. And I think you're going to see a lot of that this year where like on any given night with the Celtics, you'll see 2 or 3 guys play awesome, and then the other 2 guys kind of struggle. But again, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about the Celtics, as long as they defend, and I thought Jaylen Brown had a good defensive night, as long as they defend, it won't matter. Because those guys are all excellent defensive players as well. And as long as they redirect their resources to the defensive end when they're not involved offensively, they're going to win a lot of games. They looked a lot closer to the defense I saw 2 years ago tonight. Physical ball pressure, good rotations, making teams shoot over their length, making extra efforts to contest shots. I thought it was a really impressive defensive performance as well. Here's the thing. The Knicks threw a hell of a punch, and they survived it. So that's it. That's an impressive win. On the Knicks front, I genuinely feel bad for them because between the bad call on the Derek White drive, where I thought quickly was vertical, Quentin Grimes missing that wide open 3 on the left wing, Isaiah Hartenstein tapping that ball to Julius Randle underneath the basket that he should have caught and dunked. Jalen Brunson missing that left-handed layup, even though it was pretty well defended from Kristaps Porzingis. You expect Jalen Brunson to make that shot. And then all of the missed free throws, especially timely missed free throws in the second half. It definitely feels like the Knicks let this game slip away. Again, there's almost doesn't count in the NBA. It's still a loss, but I do kind of feel bad for them because they played well enough to win. A lot of things that they needed to go their way down the stretch did not go their way. But there is a lot to be encouraged about, right? Because Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle both played really poorly on the offensive end. Jalen Brunson seemed to miss every single one of his little pull-up jump shots and floaters that he usually makes about half of, right? So a rough night there. Julius Randle was doing a lot of that over-penetrating that we always talk about, trying to play bully ball, but he just didn't quite have the lift that he usually does. Both Randle and Brunson, neither of them really played a lot in preseason, and they both kind of seemed a little bit out of shape, so I wouldn't read too much into that. Emmanuel Quickley was amazing, generating downhill pressure, hitting pull-up jump shots, hit some huge pull-up threes in the fourth quarter. Solid point of attack defense as well. Hard to beat that off the bench from a guard to get legitimate downhill pressure, legitimate pull-up shooting, legitimate point of attack defense. It's hard to beat that. Hit a huge floater off the glass down the stretch as well. Really nice game from Emmanuel Quickley. He had 24 points on 11 shots. And then they have two excellent options at center. Like I've talked about this all summer, but Mitchell Robinson was the reason they beat Cleveland. He just utterly obliterated the Cavs front court players, Mobley and Allen. But then, he can sit the bench down the stretch of a key game against the Celtics because Isaiah Hartenstein's making huge plays on both ends of the floor, right? And it's a real luxury there. And then I thought it was a really classic Tom Thibodeau, New York Knicks defensive effort. Super physical at the point of attack. They rotated well. They were making those extra efforts. That was not an easy team to guard in the Boston Celtics, and they sent them through a lot of down stretches and droughts offensively. It was a really impressive defensive effort. I think this is going to be a fun team for the Knicks fans to root for all year long.